Kaye-Lea Plummer, 11 years old, out of Jacksonville, Florida. In August 2017, Erica Newsom, 37, was involved in a car crash, where her grisly discovery was revealed. Newsom was standing next to her daughter's body near an embankment where her truck had crashed. The body was wrapped in a comforter about 150 yards from the scene. She told the police that she had struck a guardrail and removed her daughter's body from the truck. Upon further investigation on Newsom, she left Jacksonville to head to Buffalo, New York, where Kaye-Lea's father lived. The warrant would read, she searched on her phone, alligator ponds, fatal bridge accidents in Jacksonville, fatal car accidents in Virginia highways with huge cliffs. Kaye-Lea's autopsy showed she had injuries to her head that were determined to be caused by assault. There was an arrest warrant for Newsom for strangling and beating her daughter before she actually killed her. Newsom told police that she had been very abusive to her daughter and killed her. She then put Kaye-Lea in her pickup truck and left on August 4th for the drive to New York to see her father. She said her daughter did not eat, drink, speak, or ask to use the bathroom during the drive. Maybe that's because Kaye-Lea was dead. Erica Newsom was sentenced to life in prison. Fredricka Allen, 4 years old, Houston, Texas. On Thanksgiving Day, Luquita Lewis would threaten her 16-year-old son with a knife. She was charged with making terroristic threats. She would receive 15 months probation in that case. Lewis at the time had no prior criminal charges. In 2016, Lewis was charged with threatening to kill her ex-husband, who's the father of 3 of her 4 children, not Fredricka. Neighbors said they often heard the 34-year-old mother arguing with her boyfriend. On Sunday evening of June 18, 2017, Lewis was in a traffic accident. She would text family members only to say that she had done something terrible to Fredricka. She would text the paternal grandmother, Willia Allen, with crying emoji. She said Fredricka had gone to heaven. When police arrived to Timberwake Apartments, they found the 3-year-old. She'd been stabbed repeatedly in her chest. Quote, "The devil got inside my head and has taken everything from me. I'm so sorry. I'm asking the public for prayers. I'm asking for everyone to pray for me, pray for my son, pray for my entire family, because we need it. I'm not a hateful person. I don't harbor any hate in my heart. I just really hope whatever happened, let it be known that it was God's will, not ours. The battle is not ours." End quote. Nahla Miller, 4 years old, out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Tanya Robinson, 25 years old, was involved in a custody battle that was about to begin. The father of Nahla, Nathaniel Miller, wanted custody. Robinson had cut off all ties with him, and she didn't tell him why. Nahla's father was actually used to receiving his daughter half of the week. He had been in his daughter's life from the start, so he didn't understand why now he wasn't allowed to see her. Robinson was residing in a home with her 25-year-old boyfriend, Rensley Washington. Washington also had a son in the home, among other people. Nahla and Washington's son was being mistreated and abused on the regular basis. Nahla would be left in the basement for long periods of time without food or water. She'd even been beaten one time until she fainted. Robinson claimed she did this because she had frustrations with potty training Nahla. On April 14, 2021, Robinson had attacked her daughter so hard and so vicious that her heart stopped. Robinson had gone grocery shopping at Kruger's with her boyfriend Rensley, leaving the 4-year-old home alone. When the couple returned, Nahla had peed on herself, and this infuriated Robinson. she said she snapped. Nahla was left with scars all over her body from head to toe, a broken arm, bruising to the lower lungs, adrenal glands, her liver, stomach, colon, pancreas, and mouth. She had a history of strangulation marks around her neck, a healing broken rib, lacerated hymen, vaginal bleeding, and eternal injuries. She was malnourished and at 4 years old only weighing 23 pounds. She would be on life support for 9 days until she passed away. Robinson is being held on a $1 million bail. Rinsley was charged with child endangerment. Bella Marie Morris, 4 years old, out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Sterling Morris, the grandfather of Bella, would file a restraining order on Jamie Gardner Morris, 36, who also has 2 other children living in Colorado. The grandfather said she was very violent. He recalls an argument that led to the police during the visitation, where Jamie wouldn't let go of Bella during one of her visitations. He didn't think that these visits were going to work. Brian Morris is their son. He had visitations too, separate from Jamie's. The estranged couple had restraining orders after a fight. Jamie had injuries on her face and body. Brian had bruises and cuts and claimed Jamie had stabbed him with a knife. Bella had lived with her grandparents. They had custody since 2009. It was on November 5th, 2012, when Sterling would find Bella on the floor after Jamie's 3-hour visit. He would call 911. Bella died on the way to the hospital. She died of asphyxiation. Jamie had smothered her. According to authorities, Jamie had attempted to unalive herself. Adriana Hutto, 7 years old, out of Estill, Florida. Adriana was rushed to the hospital on August 8, 2007. She would be pronounced dead an hour after arriving to Bay Medical. During the 911 call, her mother, Amanda Lewis, said she found her daughter in the family swimming pool and she was not breathing. The tragic death was deemed an accident, and a sad one. AJ's brother, who was 6 years old at the time, said he had witnessed the entire, quote, accident, unquote. He told the police what he had seen. His mother, quote, dunk, unquote, his sister underneath the water. It was some type of punishment. Amanda Lewis had been diagnosed with ADHD. She stated she had trouble bonding with her daughter. She said over a period of time, affections for Adriana had grown. Medical care would state when Amanda was told her daughter had died, she showed absolutely no emotion at all. During the investigation, the police noticed neither Adriana or AJ didn't have any toys. Amanda said she had taken them away as punishment. Officers went to the shed where she said that the toys were. There weren't any toys in the shed and no evidence that there were ever any toys in the shed. In the yard, there were 2 inflatable pool toys and a little red wagon that sat by the pool. Amanda submitted a lie detective test where she passed, and it was claimed she hadn't killed her daughter. Keep in mind, a lot of psychopaths had passed lie detector tests, and that's why they are not admissible in court. I'm not saying that she's a psychopath. She was offered a plea bargain where she had to plead guilty and receive a 10-year sentence. She declined that offer and she wanted to take it to trial. The trial started almost 1 year after Adriana's death, February 2008, and of course, AJ's statement was used. The defense said he was unreliable, that he had changed his story several times. Co-workers for the state would say that the children didn't have any toys. Even brought up the fact that Amanda had poor housekeeping. The autopsy report showed bruising to Adriana's head that correlated with AJ's statement of his sister being dunked. The trial had taken 4 days. 2 hours later, a verdict had came in. Amanda Lewis received life in prison without the possibility of parole. Lewis tried to appeal in 2010. She was unsuccessful. The prison sentence was firm. Zayla Rank, 3 years old, out of San Bernardino, California. Police received a call to go to Set Free Fellowship. It is a sober living house. Susan Rank, 30, also known as Susan Marie Perezik, was living there. Deputies would arrive to the house at 7 a.m. Zayla had already been dead, showing obvious signs of blunt force trauma. She had been beaten to death by her mother, authorities said, and it was not an accident. Lori Wood saw her daughter in handcuffs at the sober house. Wood had been living there as well, and at the time had been sober for 1 year. She asked Susan, quote, "What did you do?" end quote. Susan responded, "I killed her." Wood said she had to be held back by Pastor Bill. Susan had struggled with mental illness. She tried to get help at a local emergency room. She was having bad thoughts. She was only violent toward herself, never her daughter. Susan was booked in Robert Priestley Detention Center. Wood said she cried. She cried for both of them. She knew she would probably never see her daughter again. Neighbors around the sober living community said they had never saw children there, only adults. It was a tragic sight to see her bike out in the backyard, along with her body after the murder. Susan had a few run-ins with the law in 2013, driving under the influence, and 2016, a confrontation with police, but no one believed that she would be capable of this. Zayla had been described as the sweetest little baby. Quote, "I have nothing left," end quote, is what Lori Wood said. Samantha Ross, 7, and Paul Ross, 11 months, Skillman, New Jersey. She planned this in advance. Yahweh Chow, 36 years old. After having lunch, Chow shopped at True Value hardware store for supplies. She would need them. She drove to Mountain View Road where she attempted to start her crime. She says she was spooked after too many people was passing by the car. She proceeded to drive to a hunting area where she zip-tied her children's hands and duct-taped their mouths. She had been planning this for 1 week. She used her bare hands to suffocate both of her children. A witness alerted the police after spotting her gray Toyota Corolla inside a ditch. The witness called 911 and told them that the woman didn't appear to be in good mental state of health. She had tied herself to a steering wheel and had duct tape around her face. When police arrived, both of the children were deceased. During the court hearing, Chow said she was not an American citizen but a Taiwanese citizen and remained expressionless. Evaluation on her case has been complete and she may be ready to stand trial. There has been no motive as of yet as of why she even did this. In 2021, she had faced domestic charges of an act of harassment. She's in the Somerset County Jail and bail has been denied. Mejelic Sandez Young, 4 years old, Charlotte, North Carolina. Malika Bennett, 31 years old, was arrested in May 2021. She said her daughter was missing. However, she was constantly posting on social media about it. Her family reading and watching grew suspicious, and they would call the police to do a welfare check. Malika told them that her daughter was staying with family members. Police knew That was not true. They had the cadaver dogs come to the property and search the grounds. Mejelic was found dead and buried in her backyard on Braden Drive, where Mejelic stayed with her mother and 7 other siblings. An autopsy report revealed Mejelic was malnourished, dehydrated, and had a clump of hair that was stuffed down her throat. She was very seriously injured. She had bruises, swelling, and 2 black eyes. She had acetone and ethanol in her system, which may be likely due to how badly she was decomposed. She had been deceased for several months by then. In the warrant, it would read around August or September of 2020. Mejelic was forced to stand in the laundry room as punishment for defecating on herself. Malika made her stand in the laundry room for 3 days without sitting down or leaving. The little girl's breathing was off and on. By the 3rd day, it became shallow. Eventually, she was too weak and fell out the back door, hitting her head hard on the ground. She was unconscious after the fall. Malika claims she attempted CPR, but Mejelic was dead in minutes. Malika washed her daughter's body, and she held the body in the back of an SUV inside 2 black trash bags. She had her oldest daughter, 13, help her bury her little sister's body after she dug a huge hole in the backyard. Another woman, Tammy Moffett, 53 years old, was arrested in the death of Mejelic on May 27, 2021. She would be the grandmother. She was charged with concealing a death and accessory after. Destiny Oliver, 5 years old, Knoxville, Tennessee. Robin Howington, 37, said an unknown man had came into her home. He shot Destiny and drove away in a black Chrysler 3000. Then she said it was Destiny's dad who shot her and drove away in a white Chrysler 3000. Then she said it was her 2-year-old son who climbed in her closet, standing on a step stool, got the gun, and had shot and killed his 5-year-old sister. She blamed past boyfriends, current boyfriends. If the sink had hands, she would have blamed the sink. Investigators had caught her trying to destroy her cell phone by running water in it. She said she was not trying to get rid of evidence of her daughter's murder, but she was getting rid of evidence of drug deals on her phone. Howington's boyfriend would tell police that the day Destiny was shot, on September 14, 2019, Robin was holding that same gun to an ex-boyfriend. The gun had been wiped down, thrown in bushes, and it was by Robin. The neighbor's surveillance footage had captured her image. Robin was arrested September 2019, charged with child neglect, false reporting, tampering with evidence, and other things, along with murder. She was being held on a $500,000 bond. She actually was released, testing positive for marijuana and prescription drugs for anxiety, and she didn't have a prescription for that. So, in other words, she was testing dirty. But the judge would give her chance after chance. Eventually, marijuana is legal in Tennessee, and that's why she chose to smoke it. Now, while out on bail, she started to work in a motel. The judge would tell her she had house arrest, which means she had to go to work and come straight home. That would be all her life would consist of at the moment. Robin's case had been on delay several times, but the courts even said that when her trial started in 2021, that it would continue. And it did. But there were still no reasons that I could find, and no motives of why she would even kill Destiny. To my knowledge, the trial is still currently going. A lot of these cases that I've mentioned, they don't have conclusions, they don't have endings. If you know any of these beautiful children that I mentioned, my condolences. It's a very sad thing that they had to die these tragic ways by their mothers. If you know any information that I haven't missed or I haven't mentioned, please leave it in the comments for myself and anybody else that follow these cases. Thank you.